What's up, y'all? How's it going? Welcome back to another episode of Roll the Tape. And today we are reviewing Park Chan-wook's Oldboy. This is my first time watching it. It's the 20th year anniversary, I believe, and so they did a remastered version of the film, and it was playing in theaters. And I actually just came back from the screening with a friend of mine, and actually this friend of mine, his name is Kosei, he actually recommended this film for me to watch. He didn't necessarily do it for the roll of the tape, but he did recommend me to watch it, and I added it to my list of films to watch and review for roll the tape. So thank you, Kosei, for recommending this film and also watching it with me. And so Oldboy. Well, let me tell you about this movie. I know that this movie is 20 years old. Most people, well, I don't know if most people have seen it, but I'm sure a lot of people have seen this movie already. But my whole thing, I don't like spoilers. I don't do spoilers. It's just not my thing. And so I'm not going to give any spoilers about this movie. And I hope that you watch this film, because this film is it's like eating a layered cake full of mystery ingredients of things that you just don't want. And it's your birthday, right? And somebody gifted you this mystery layered cake, and you eat it, right? Because you don't want to be rude, but you also know that you don't want this cake. And that's what this movie feels like. It's like you are just watching a film because you're so enticed by it. The storytelling is phenomenal. The acting is phenomenal. The way it's shot is so well done. The editing is so seamless and also so experimental. And there's just so many, and the sound design as well, it's just so visceral. And it's like, there's so many things about this movie that just keep you glued to it. But as you're watching it, you don't want to watch it, you know? And that's the best way I can put it. So it's like eating a layered mystery cake that was gifted to you on your birthday of things that you don't want. So take that, however you will. But a deeper dive into this film, and the things that I really liked about it, the storytelling. First of all, storytelling, character writing is phenomenal. The character arcs that they go through and the story arcs that they go through is so well done. Park Chan-wook does such a good job of storytelling. The whole film is like, there's so many layers to the story that you're trying to figure out, and you're trying to just make sense of as you're watching the film. And when you think you figured one thing out, there's another thing that you want to figure out. And when you think you figured that out, but then you're like, wait, did I not have the other thing right? And it's just, my brain was going back and forth the whole time as I was watching it. And I mean, that, I feel like that's a sign of a really good movie. And and so the way that he does layered storytelling is just phenomenal. That's something I'm personally trying to get better with in my own writing, and it's something that I've always liked in storytelling and some of my favorite movies, but I was not expecting that to be such a big part of this movie, and I loved every second of it. The story arcs are really good. You feel very attached to a lot of different characters in this film, even if you detest some of them, and I feel like that's always a good sign of storytelling, when you can feel something for characters where you feel some sort of sympathy, but then you also don't feel sympathy for them. And you just, because it's like you understand them, but you also know what they've done, and you don't think that they deserve, to continue being a part of the story. So Yeah, the story arcs are really good in this film, and I really enjoyed it. Next thing is the cinematography is so good in this film. Cinematography is so beautiful. They play with a lot of really cool angles, a lot of still shots. One of my favorite scenes in this movie, and I think, you know, it's a very popular scene that I'm sure people talk about. But there's a scene in this movie, and it made me feel like I was playing like Street Fighter in a way. And that's all I want to say about that. Like I said, I don't want to spoil anything, but they play with so many different types of experimental types of cinematography, and yeah, and the way that these things look remind me of different aspects of my life that, you know, I wouldn't expect in a movie, you know, the way that I see things in games or something like that, or like anime or manga, you know, I wouldn't expect for them to use some of these like camera techniques that they use in these types of like games and animated, you know, works in, you know, a live action film. And it worked, and it wasn't cheesy, because that's a thing in, you know, some of these live action adaptations where they try to do these like anime or manga like types of cinematography styles, and it looks kind of cheesy, but it didn't look cheesy in this film. You know, it all felt like there was purpose for doing things like that, and instead of just looking cool, like it felt like a storytelling technique of why they use different types of methods of cinematography. So I thought that was really dope, and that was definitely really inspiring. And the editing, the transition editing is just off the charts. I don't want to spoil anything. And the transition editing is just phenomenal. It's things that there's a lot of in-camera transitions, which is something I'm a huge fan of, and I don't have too much of my work released out there, but if you've seen my work, you would probably notice that I really like in-camera transitions, and this film does a really good job of doing in-camera transitions. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of that. And I noticed every single one of them, and I was just like, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool, as I was watching the film. And lastly, the sound design. I've talked about sound design on several of these videos, but sound design is phenomenal. What can I say? It's really good sound design, very in your ears, very visceral. The way that they do some of the sound design as well, it's like, and especially listening to it in IMAX, it's just like crazy, because it's like you'll hear things in the left, right, you'll hear things in the left side of your ear, right, coming from like the left side of the audio system or whatever it is. It's more left balanced, but then you'll hear some things on the right, and it really feels like you're living in somewhere, you know. So listening to it in IMAX, and I'm sure if you listen to it on headphones, and if you have a good surround sound system at your own home, you would really hear these like different things that when they piece the film together, make your immersion into the film just feel so real. You know, it makes you feel like you're in this film and you're a part of it. So yeah, that's like, whoo, that's a lot, but there's so many good things about this film, and even though it's 20 years old, it ages perfectly fine, you know. It's been on my list, but it's been on the lower end of my list because it is an older film. I mean, 2003 isn't really that old, but I mean, that's younger than me, but like you know, it's still like, you know, a little bit dated compared to like more modern film in cinema, and there's so much material that I want to watch and all these things like that, and I'm trying to keep up to date with the newer material and seeing what's out there now, and you know, how the trends are playing and stuff like that. So I do watch a lot more of like newer material compared to older material, but this stuff holds up. Like Oldboy holds up really well, and I would highly recommend for you to watch it. If you've never seen it before, especially, please, if you've never seen it before, do not look up any spoilers. Go into this movie raw. Go into this movie with like no preconceptions or like preconceived notions of like what the story might be about. I went into it with like having no idea, and like it's a fun journey, and it makes you think and it makes you feel things. So that's all I have to say. Go watch Oldboy, and that's it. So thank y'all for watching. I love y'all, and please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.